and welcome to today's video. Today's video is a little extra special. Today's video is a little bit extra special because one of the main things that's happened through this lockdown, I think just in general to so many people, is that we've been watching so much content on Netflix, and Indian Matchmaking is a show that's come out at the top with so many of us, right from like my mom to my friends, family friends, everyone's been watching it, and we've all had a lot of opinions on the people we've been exposed to see, the characters we've been exposed to see on the show. Today we're going to be talking to Aparna in Lockdown Diaries and getting an insight from her on her experience. So let's not make this intro any longer and let's dive right into it. So hi Aparna, welcome to my channel. You have to understand how excited I am to have you with all of the buzz around Indian matchmaking on Netflix and everything that's been going with it.
I'm happy to be here. It's been quite the journey, and we just hit the 1 month mark, and so there's still a lot of excitement and buzz. There's still a lot of questions out there, so it's just good to be here with you today.
First of all, congratulations, because I think that the show has done so well. I don't know many people personally who haven't watched it. Right up to my own mom and aunts and family, they've thoroughly enjoyed like experiencing and sort of like living through you guys through the series. And I think the lockdown was fantastic timing for you guys, because here in India we're all at home and we're all watching Netflix.
Us too, and you could see that with the numbers. I mean, it skyrocketed to #1 in India, and we were not expecting that kind of reception. Not only from India and the US, but from the world. I mean, it was like #3 in South Africa, #2 in the UAE. It was crazy when we were getting those numbers in those first few weeks, because we were all like, who are all these people watching this show?
But you know, before I do want to ask you about your overall sort of maybe like a life change after the show, but before that I kind of want to circle back a little bit to what made you sign up on the show, and how comfortable were you going on those dates with the cameras on, because that must have been so much pressure.
Yeah, so I signed up for the show about 2 years ago. I was in the airport in Los Angeles about to come home to Houston. I had just gone for the weekend to visit friends, and my flight was delayed. And so I got on Facebook, I was scrolling, and someone had said, are you South Asian? Are you single? Are you looking for your husband or wife? If so, apply to this show. And right there in the line, I clicked the application. I didn't even think about what I wrote. I don't even think I took it seriously. It said attach 2 pictures, and I went to Facebook and I just pressed upload. I don't even know what I put. And I submitted it. 1 week later, they called me and they said, hi, we got your application. And I had forgotten. I was like, what did I apply to? What do you mean you got my application? Do I get a new car? Do I get a new house? Like, they're like, you applied to be on a matchmaking show, and we would like to start the casting process with you. And so that's how it all began.
Wow, this was meant to be. This was meant to be.
Maybe it was, because I was just bored in line waiting for my delayed flight.
That's so amazing. And what was it like to be on the show and go on these first dates with like cameras on you? There must have been a lot of anticipation, a lot of pressure in those moments.
Yeah, there was a lot of pressure, especially that first date, which was by far my worst date. So by that point, I was ready to like maybe walk away from the show after that first date. And so it was an interesting process for sure for that to be so strong in the beginning. The men I met later on were much more grounded and humble and awesome. And I was also more familiar with the crew. So you get used to them, right? You get to know them. You know their names, their families. You eat lunch with them and dinner with them. So it no longer is weird when their cameras are in your face, because it's a man behind that camera that you know. It's Tom behind the camera. It's Ryan that's miking you up. And so when they're people, you become a lot more comfortable. It's still a weird experience. There's 14 people in my living room, you know, focusing on my face. I'm just a lawyer in Houston. Like, I'm not used to cameras ever being on me. And for 14 people to be staring at me was different. It was different for sure.
You know, I have to admit, I kind of like just have to say this to you. I've said this to a bunch of friends who, you know, when we've discussed the show. When the show started out, it took me like maybe an episode or so to really get into your head and understand where you were coming from. But after like literally just off the like that minute that click happened in my head, I was like, oh my god, she's my favorite person on this show. Because I have to tell you, it takes a lot to be yourself on TV, and considering there was so much of well, let's just say there was constant words of stubborn and negative that you hear instantly that have the placebo effect, you know what I mean? And then I'm like, no, she's just saying what she wants. Why is Why is that wrong when a woman knows so clearly what she wants? And what are your thoughts on that? When you watched the show, how did that come about for you?
So I didn't know I was being called any of those things. Seema never said them to my face, only behind my back. So that's interesting too, because I'm a lawyer, I'm in a service-based industry, and I have clients, and I don't speak about my clients like that. I don't talk about them to their face like that. I don't talk about them behind their back. I believe that I'm there to provide a service, and I'm retained to provide a service. So for me, that's what this whole process was about, that she was providing me a service. So I was trying to be so, clear with her. And she speaks Hindi better than she speaks English. And my Hindi is terrible. So for me, it felt like she wasn't understanding what I was saying, just language-wise. But it turns out she's just not understanding what I was saying because she didn't maybe think that it was right for me. So I was trying to tell her, the viewer doesn't see this, I want someone who's more introverted. I want a man who's more laid back and chill. And she's like, no. And I was like, what? And she's like, no, you need to be with someone jolly. And I was like, I don't know what jolly means. We don't use that word in America. What does that mean? Like, Santa Claus is jolly. What is that? Like a funny person?
Santa Claus is jolly. I don't even love that reference right there.
Santa Claus is jolly, but I've never met anyone else who's jolly. Maybe like an old uncle? I don't know. So then I'm like, no, Seema auntie, listen to me. I want like the wallflower. I want not the funniest man in the room. So I'm using all these different words to try to tell her what I want. And she's not having it. She's like, nope. And so you see that in the editing where they're like, oh, I don't want the funniest man in the room. It's because I'm trying to use the word introverted. And I'm like, how do you say introverted in Hindi? Like, my Hindi is so bad. What is that word? And so for me, I'm just trying because the pressure was on. I thought if I could explain to Seema auntie exactly what I wanted, she would go, aha. And she would grab the man out of the hat and she would be a magician. And if I could just be clear, right, she could. So I was trying to be so clear and it didn't work at all. So what I actually asked her for was someone who was quiet and laid back and chill, and then someone who was very, very smart. And that's all I asked for. But they added the masala and all the other things. But I told Seema it's quite simple. That's it. Just make him very, very smart and very, very laid back. And she was like, no, that's not what you want. So, okay. So that was my first date with Seema. I tell everyone, when you have a matchmaker, you're dating the matchmaker too. You're not only dating the men, you are dating her or him, whoever your matchmaker is, because you are forming a relationship with them. And they also have to understand you, and they also have to compromise and be flexible with you. And so as the viewers see, my first date with Seema auntie does not go well. Does not go well at all.
Yeah, I have to say that when she called, did she call your dog cats? Did she call your cat dogs on the show? And I was like...
She called him a kitten. And I was like,
You had a very appropriate response to that. I would not have been that calm if someone called my cat a dog. You were very, poised and composed. So I have a bunch of questions that a few of my followers have also sent to me, and I've shortlisted some of the nicer ones that are in line with our conversation. So what I noticed, just as a repeated question coming in from a bunch of them, was, what do you think of Seema auntie now after having done the show? Because I mean, your experience was different from so many of the others who are on the show. And are you still a client of hers? Seems to be the most commonly asked question that everyone is bringing up.
I am not a client of hers. I'm pretty sure that none of us are clients of hers. It's just for the show. I mean, the minute the show ended, I never heard or spoke to her again. I actually spoke to her once or twice when we first started doing press 4 weeks ago, and we both congratulated each other, and we said, this is great. For us, we were part of the process together, and we have nothing but good things to wish for each other. She said, you did really well. I'm like, you did too. I can see that her business is booming. I can see that she's happy, and I'm glad. Was she a good fit for me? Maybe not. Do I think that's based on who she is and her traditional background and her age maybe, or where she lives? I live in America, she lives in India. Yeah, I think that's all it was. It was about two very different people trying to understand one another. And I think she and I were the furthest apart of she and any of the other contestants.
That's amazing. Another question, not question, another statement I received a lot on my questions feature on Instagram was literally the girls who were coming out and saying no questions, just want to tell her I love her, and people coming out and saying it, you know, literally resonating with my thoughts actually, saying, you know, in the first episode we were confused, but then oh my god, she turned out to be our favorite, that kind of zone. So one of the moments that I think I really took to the way you were kind of managing and really responding to things on camera was when you said that when I like someone, that's my responsibility, and whether they like me back or not, that's their problem. Which kind of leads me to ask you, what have your like biggest lessons been from the show? Because obviously there's been so much to take in through observation and experience for you.
Yeah, I think my biggest lesson is to not take things so personally. Like, it's interesting to be on the world stage like this in front of everyone, and not for being you, for being an edited version of you that's actually not much like you. Like, I don't relate to that person. One reporter, I've done maybe 100 interviews. One reporter asked me, what Aparna did you see that actually looked like you in real life? Like, what Aparna on the screen actually made you think, oh, that was me? And I said, the goat yoga girl. I loved goat yoga so much. I'm so adventurous. I made my friends all go back the next month for my birthday party, all 30 of them. I grabbed my best friends. I took them out 45 minutes outside of Houston, and I made them do goat yoga. We drank mimosas and we ate French fries, and there's like a restaurant attached to it. Like, that's me. And if the show wanted to create something else and vilify me for being strong and independent, that was on them. That's sound bites. That's editing. That's not actually me. And so I think watching people believe that the show is so real was interesting to me, because I don't watch TV. Yeah, how people watch a show and it's so interesting to think that they think reality TV is real. They're like, oh, Aparna, we know you. We saw your growth on the show. We saw this and that of you. I'm like, you saw something that they created for you, and it's entertainment, and it helps tell the story of arranged marriage, and it's an archetype that they built, but it's not true. And it's really strange to see that a lot of people don't view reality TV like that. And I think that's a bigger conversation that we have to have about how we consume media and how we consume what we think is truth versus what is actually crafted very, very, very cleverly to make us think it's truth. And so a lot of people are like, oh, I'm surprised you're actually like this in real life. And I'm like, because they wanted you to think that. Like, I don't know what else to say about it, but that's the same for any of my castmates. Like, we're all multifaceted people, and all of them will say the same thing. We still all talk to each other, and they're like, it's so weird how they did that to us. And I was like, but that's TV. Like, they had to do something, right? They had to make the viewer in 8 episodes understand arranged marriage for 7 different human beings with one matchmaker. That was a huge task. And they were going across the world doing it. So I think it's part of the television process. Do I agree with it? Not really, but I don't think that's that important. You know, that was what they were trying to convey to the viewer, and obviously the viewers loved it, and I'm happy about that.
But like you said, there are so many larger conversations that the show has led to. Like, one of the things that I landed up having a lot of conversations, because I'm here based in Mumbai. While I've gotten married, I had what we call a love marriage. I have a lot of friends who had arranged marriages, right? And a lot of my friends who also went through what they call wedding brokers or whatever, you know, the Seema auntie actual term is over here that's used. So one of the questions that I landed up asking a bunch of my friends who have gotten married through arranged marriage is, you know, what I saw and came out so obviously was that every time you said, you know, this doesn't fit my match, you were like, okay, no, me. You were told to just go meet this person. Whereas the boys were given so many options to choose from without that kind of pressure. So that also opened this huge can of worms in terms of, you know, just arranged marriage conversation here in India, where people were talking about how it's almost treated for the boys, it's treated like a buffet system where they get to pick and choose whom they actually want to meet, whereas the women have so much more pressure to like have to go meet someone and only then take a call. And what are your thoughts on that now? Because you've like seen it, you've experienced it, and then of course you're also dealing with the aftermath of it, where I'm pretty sure you have the boys sliding into your DMs being like, let me take you out on a date. So where are you on that now, the thought process of that now?
You know, I think it was really, that was one of the parts that really like made me not so happy with our culture, because I didn't see any of the other people and their treatment until I watched the show. And I watched the show with everyone else. I didn't get special rights to see it early or anything like that. And so for me to see that I was treated especially poorly there, that I was given one option and Seema was like, she doesn't get another option. She gets this one. And Nadia got 3, where she got to lay them out on the table and look at each of them and say, I want to go with this one first, this one second, this one third. I wasn't even given that decency. And that to me is like saying that basically I was told that because I am strong, because I'm asking for what I want, because I believe I deserve it, that I don't get choices anymore, that I have to be quietened, and, you know, I have to be silenced. And that's not something I want for the women in South Asia or the diaspora of South Asia. That's not something I want for any woman. I didn't realize that the men got that treatment when I was in the process. Otherwise, I would have asked for it too. And it was really surprising for me to see that she said to me so casually, oh, we don't like lawyers in India. We don't like women who are lawyers. And I was like, do you want me to smile sweeter or twirl my hair for you? She said at one point, you need to change your talking pattern. And she said that behind my back, obviously not to my face. And I was like, what, do I need to sound sweeter for you to understand me? Like, I'm not going to change the way that I speak. I'm proud of my ability to communicate with people. I went to amazing schools. I've been a lawyer for 10 years. I'm happy with my ability to talk to people. Like, I can communicate with people. I am sure of that. But for some reason, that didn't matter to her. And that was really disappointing to see, because if it's happening to me, that means it's happening to women everywhere. And it turns out that I get hundreds, if not 1,000 messages a day of women saying, I was so empowered by you being so unapologetically yourself and for asking for what you want and for believing that you deserve it. And it made me feel like I could ask too, and that I could make my own list, and that I could, you know, believe in my own worth. And I thought, how weird. Like, when I started this process, I didn't even think outside of me, you know, that's what I was thinking about, me. Like, I want this for myself. But what happened is that women are telling me that they're asking for what they want in the workplace. They're asking for it at school and in their WhatsApp groups with their friends, with their families. And it's just because they saw me. And that's so beautiful and that's so powerful, but that also speaks a lot to where we are as a culture. And I wish I could do more. I wish that wasn't just the only thing I could give to a woman sitting at home watching the show.
So I think this should be the last question, because you've summarized everything so beautifully with everything that you've covered. I typically would not take this question with a follow-up, because I never like to ask personal questions, but seeing the nature of the show and in general that this seems to be what everyone is asking, the most commonly asked question right at the top is she dating anyone right now?
No, I am single. All of my castmates are single. We just did a Facebook talk together on Friday night. We all sat around and had a drink and talked to each other. And we were all laughing that we were all still sitting here, all single on a Friday night talking to each other. But you know what we got out of it? We got amazing friends. I talk to Shaker every day. He's one of my best friends. I have to go to Chicago in 2 weeks for work, and I'm going to see him like every day that I'm there. I talk to Dilip and Jay every day. My castmate women are beautiful and strong. I talk to Ankita every day. Her article in Vogue came out and we were all celebrating that today as a family and as a group. Like, that's incredible. Like, the achievements and the accomplishments of these people are amazing. Season 1 of any show is amazing because it's these people who had no idea what they were getting into. If you ask any of us, including myself, why did you sign up for the show? We'll tell you, we wanted to find our spouse. Like, we wanted to find love. Like, we literally went in here thinking no one's gonna watch this. They told us it was a documentary when we started it, but they never told us it was a reality show. I would not have signed up. They told me it was a docu-series celebrating my culture and matchmaking, and I thought, wow, I could find love like this. Like, this could be my opportunity to find my partner. And everyone felt that way. And so it's interesting because season 1s are like these very pure, almost naive people who signed up and didn't know what they were getting in for, but only wanted one thing, which was, hey, maybe I could find love. And so here we all are. We're hopeless romantics. We're all still looking for love, and that includes me. So, still looking.
That's amazing. I think that looking just means there's opportunity for so much more for you to experience along the way. So I guess that's the positive side to it. But thank you for sharing all of your thoughts and your experience with all of my followers over here. Everyone's a huge fan of the show, and irrespective of what's to happen in the love life, I'm sure you've gained a lot of friends, followers, and supporters. So I think that I should just congratulate you on that right now.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm actually writing my book right now about the show, so all the fans can read all about the behind the scenes probably in about 9 months to a year, maybe. We'll see.
Oh wow, so there's an add-on congratulations over there for you for that.
Thank you so much.
So I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I feel like I have such a better insight of what Aparna's entire experience was through the entire making and well after release of Indian matchmaking. If you guys have any thoughts on this, please go ahead and tell me what they are down below in the comments. This is going to be really interesting. If you did enjoy the video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe and turn those bell notifications on so you can keep coming back for more of my videos, because you know I upload a whole bunch of them here on YouTube and I'm very active on Instagram as well. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. Mwah! Love you.